This is the Boulder Zone, the fusion of masculine advice and entertainment.
This is Sparta!
Here's your host, Marco Boulder.
Hello, my fellow interwebers. Thanks for tuning back into the Boulder Zone, your fusion of masculine advice, insight, and zesty entertainment. Today, I'm going to come hard at feminine equality, or as I prefer to call it, selective equality. Before I do, though, over in Studio B, hip deep within the bowels of Music City, Nash Vegas, Tennessee, doing his producing thing, is Mr. Paulie. Hey, Paulie, how's it going?
Hey there. How's it going?
Hey, what do you think about the subject matter today, buddy?
I'm scared to death.
Yeah? We'll see what comes out of it, right?
Yeah, sure. It's going to be great.
So, guys, it's a moving target fueled by certain social media influencers and one side of the media. Believe me when I say, when it comes to equality, most people don't subscribe to that uber feminist mindset. Most of us simply want to live our lives in the way that we see fit and not have news, celebrities, politicians, and internet celebrities telling us we should be acting in certain ways that are foreign to our beliefs. Paulie.
Yes, sir.
There have been countless groups that have fought for freedom of choice. Why do you think this has yet to occur for men and women? I mean, these people simply want to be respected for their traditional masculine and feminine beliefs. Why isn't people pushing back more?
I don't know. It seems to be so popular. Just so popular to think that there is a problem with the way it always used to be quite so severely. I'm not saying nothing should change, but it's total backwards. I mean, it's not moving a little bit. It's not going from chivalry to, not quite so much chivalry. It's going from that to, straight up, I want what you want and what I already have.
Mm-hmm. We've got a couple of clips that we're going to show y'all today of a couple of ladies that have a traditional mindset, but it's not steeped in the whole apron, at the stove. Hi, honey. What would you like for dinner? The kids are baked. Not like that. I mean, really, I think what most people are looking for, Paulie, is just to live their lives, like I said before. If you're a female, nobody, at least on this side of the fence over here at the Boulder Zone, thinks that you should not have your own career and not make your own choices and something like that. But when you're with a man who traditionally adheres to masculine values, I think that stuff has to be fleshed out in the front end. And men nowadays just are so shell-shocked. They don't want to say the wrong thing. These clips that we're going to show they kind of focus on the whole first date thing, picking up the check, as you know. And us as guys, we just want to be able to pick up the check and have it okay. Right. Or if a woman wants to pick up the check, give us the opportunity to go ahead and do it, or let us assume that. I mean, it's gotten so complicated in my mindset. What do you think as far as the first date thing is concerned?
Well, again, I think it's gone way too far, because in some of the reading that we had for this show, there was one article that implied that if you buy a drink for a lady, then you are dehumanizing her. I mean, seriously, that's what it said. And that's obviously crazy. But also, if you're out with a lady and, you fully intend on buying dinner because that's the kind of thing that you like to do or whatever, and she comes up with, hey, I'd like to buy, or can we split the check or whatever, you shouldn't be threatened by that either. That's pretty cool. You should, it's probably okay to tell her, you know what, let me buy this time, maybe you can get next time, or whatever, and, be a gentleman about it. But that should be all right. In fact, to me, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Some of the research that we've done, there was another article that we looked at, and I forgive me, I wish I had the gentleman's name that wrote it, but he was spot on when he said the women shouldn't go on dates for a free meal. especially if they claim feminism, they're a feminist, because what they're doing there is it's selective. Like I said in the intro, it's selective. You are seeking the man to take control and take care of the check. And it puts these women dangerously close into that area they don't want to be, in front of the stove, at home. They're surrendering it to the man. I don't know if they look at it like that or not, but what's your thoughts, buddy?
I feel like a lot of times it's dismissed as, "Oh, I'm cute, he bought me dinner. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm cute, he bought me this," or whatever, you know? It's kinda like a, see what I can get away with, because the more I get away with, the cuter I am,
Mm.
kinda thing. Not necessarily that they want the stuff, they want the validation of having gotten the stuff because they're so, attractive.
Well, men appreciate an attractive woman. Yeah, I mean, there's no surprise there. Maybe
No.
there's some people that watch this show that are going to bristle because men shouldn't judge women by their appearance. I don't judge women by their appearance. I appreciate a woman that takes pride in herself. And I think that goes if you're a traditional feminine woman or if you're a progressive feminine woman. We should all take pride in how we look. I think a lot of people, and I'm not going to point this right at females, males included, they feel like, well, this is who I am, accept it or get the fuck out or leave me the fuck alone. Okay, you get what you get from that. If you're not going to show pride in yourself, people aren't going to have pride in you. They're not going to want to be seen with you or do anything as far as a relationship thing or even a close friendship thing.
Yeah, I think that it is important to note, and one of the arguments in some of the stuff that we saw was, the women saying, "Well, I spend so much more time and money and effort getting myself together to look so awesome to be with you, and you just got off work and threw on a tie. I've been at this for hours, and all that takes time and money. So you should probably buy dinner."
Well, I guess I look at that like this. If you weren't going on a date, if you were just going out with your friends or going to work, isn't that something you're going to do anyway?
Well, yes, and the whole idea is just crazy anyway. It's like, I I just asked you out for a date. I didn't want to invest in your personal hygiene. Seriously, it's like I I don't care how long it took you to get ready. Yeah, and like you said, she would probably get ready to go do whatever she was going to do that night.
Hmm.
It's
Well,
not like she's saving money by not going out to dinner with me.
right. But, that applies to men as well. I think that we're a little off the subject here, but when men get too complacent in relationships and they get lazy and they don't take the trash out, or they get nagged for not taking the trash out, or get nagged for not shoveling the walk, or that sort of thing. They say, "Oh, I just want a woman that's not going to nag me about that." It's like, okay, well, if you didn't have a woman, those things you would have to do anyway. Would they not get done just because you're not getting nagged? Is your trash going to pile up? Is you're not going to be able to pull your truck out of the driveway? It goes on both sides.
I think most men would tend to take out the garbage or shovel the walk even quicker if there wasn't somebody on their ass about it. Like, if I'm not robbed of the opportunity to just go do it because I should and I want to, now I have to do it because you nagged at me. I don't get to go do it because I want to. I have to go do it now because you opened your mouth. And if you'd have just shut up, it would have gotten done and I could feel good about doing it. But I
Yep.
have no experience in that arena.
Well, and that gets down to the crux of the whole thing with men. I think that men get too complacent when they get into a relationship. They stop marketing themselves to their partner. And let me backstep on that a little bit. When we go out and we meet a woman or a man, like we were talking about, we dress up. We want to look our best. We want to smell our best. We want to be on our best behavior, both sides of the fence. But once that has occurred and a relationship has begun and things start to get a little more normalized, static, you know, we tend to let those things slide. And then we wonder why the female in our life gets irritated with us. Or perhaps it's the other way. We get irritated with them because we just don't look like the bill of goods that we sold in the onset. Not saying that every day you've got to put on your best wardrobe, your most expensive cologne, and your expensive watch and whatnot. But if you want to build a true partnership, you have to still appeal to that partner. You still have to do the special things that they expected from you, that you originally sold. So, Polly, let's go ahead and take a look at the very first clip, and we'll kind of comment on that.
Selective equality is so true, because we are only equal until we don't want to be equal anymore. It's, you know, it's the men who go to war first. It's the men who have to fight the tyranny. It's, you know, it's the men who are doing all these things. You know, it's the men who are building the very infrastructure which we walk on. You know, I was walking.
So, and that's the part that feminists really start to bristle at. They don't want to acknowledge that men were the ones that paved the way for them to be, like she said, that boss bitch in the big office, in the big chair. It was the man that built the chair. It was the man that built the office. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that we are superior over them. It's just how it has always been. It's men have been productive historically. Women have been reproductive historically. It's only been in the past few decades that has changed. And again, I don't think that men have a huge issue with this. Now, with that, there's that sect of the, you know, MAGTOW guys and all that that's fed up, and they're going to go do their own thing. More power to you. But what I'm saying is, it's not wrong to acknowledge history. It's not wrong to acknowledge who laid that groundwork for you. If you want to change that going forward, then great. Become a coal miner. Get down there in the coal mines with the men. Get out there on that road crew and pave those roads. You know, that is absolute equality to me, not this selective equality like she's talking about. Go ahead.
On Brickell Quay the other day, and I saw these men hanging from these frames in the air, whatever, these cranes. They're putting these windows on, and I saw one man trying to like hang out the window to grab the window, and it's the men that are doing that. It's not the women. Men create the infrastructure that the boss bitch can then sit out on and go, I'm a boss bitch. But who put you there? It was the man. The man created the chair, the floor, the levels, you know. And if you know, we always want more. We always want more female CEOs, but nobody wants more female bin men. Not the other day, like a year ago actually, which was like, we need more female plumbers. We need equality. And
yeah, we can pause it right there. Yeah, you know
that
what?
was the end of it.
Yeah. So, buddy, why aren't we hearing more about that? Is it because it's the work that women don't want to do, and so they don't push back on it?
Yeah, I think it is a matter of just kind of forgetting about that while they're deciding that there should be more CEOs and things like that are women. And, you know, maybe that's true to an extent as well. Maybe there are some really talented women that should be able to do that. But I think that men who carry out the jobs that women don't or can't do in some cases, I mean, you know, face it, some women are, you know, women are typically smaller. Women are typically less able to do heavy lifting and things like that. And some jobs just handle that. These are just facts. We all know that. So I think that sometimes that gets forgotten when they're thinking about positions that they would like to have that aren't an obstacle physically, like maybe being a CEO or things like that, and then start screaming equality. And I don't think that you can really have it be equal if it's selective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there has to be a happy medium in there. And it just seems like most people that I talk to, clients, friends, they're all saying the same thing. We don't have a big issue with what women want and where they want to go and what they want to achieve. We just want to have peace in the teepee. That's all we're looking for. And this is what I believe, you know? So it really has to start at that first date, or at the phone call before the first date, where I think people need to spend more time getting to know each other, at least on the phone and not social media, and knee to knee over coffee or whatever, and match that stuff up and see if it's going to work for you, rather than guys jumping in to it, seeing it's not going to work for a piece of ass, you know, being top G and all that sort of stuff, and getting more notches on the bedpost and, you know, body counts and whatnot. I think that's what we're missing. You know, back in the day, and here I go, aging myself. I mean, back in the day, that's the only option we had. We'd start on the telephone, and then we'd go out on a fucking date, and we'd
Right.
talk about those things, unless you were a player, because there was no top G or whatever, you know, there were players back then, and you could feel each other out. That's what we're missing now. And I hate to sound like my father, because every generation has their belief. Well, we did it way back in, you know, this, and this is how it worked, and it worked real well. Look, me and your mom are still together. Well, you know, I've heard a lot of arguments between you and mom. You know, it's gotten pretty nasty, you know,
Right.
and that probably could have been waylaid by coming together, having a meeting of the minds in the onset. But nowadays, kids, people have the social media influence. They've got the political influence. They've got all of these people out there telling them how they should be. And if you go out and you express your genuine masculine or feminine beliefs, you're chastised for it. Sometimes you can't even talk to your family about it. There's nothing wrong with adhering to those values. And damn it, people need to start standing up and telling these other people, these politicians and whatnot, fuck you. This is me. This is the way I want to live my life. The homosexual community has done it. The black community has done it. Historically, everybody, women did that. I think it's gone, a certain percentage of them have gone way far off the point, you know, because it started, feminism was against socialism or against capitalism. Now it's against masculinity, you know, because that's where the money's at. That's how they can propagate it. That's another show. Paul, what do you think of what she said? I want to know specifically what you think about what she said about the men being the catalyst of all the spoils that women are enjoying now.
Well, I think that she's right. I don't know that it's really it's the fault of tradition, and the tradition that we lived through for all those years while that infrastructure was being built. You know, and the tradition was, you know, something that's almost offensive to even say now, but the woman would stay home and, you know, take care of the kids and make sure dinner was ready when he got home from work, and, you know, grab his slippers and give him his pipe. And, you know, I mean, it was maybe a little over the top, but that's the way it was. And that's when most of the infrastructure we're talking about was born, for this fictitious woman she's talking about to be boss bitch. But so I think she's right on, but I think it's not because women are weak or anything. I think it's a lot of because that's just the way it always was. And things are changing now, and that might not be the case coming up. But when it comes to the literal words that she said instead of kind of what she meant, I mean, the literal built the foundation. That's always going to be men, or it's going to be robots.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just not going to be women carrying around big bags of cement or whatever they do. Like, I know what they do, but you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, building construction, you know, construction workers that I know look like they work hard, and they're usually big guys.
Mm-hmm.
So,
you know, the interesting thing is that there's a lot of videos on YouTube, I'm sure you've seen them as well, Paul, where I just saw the one the other day. The top female MMA fighter fought the top, I believe it was the top amateur MMA fighter, and he kicked her ass. And it wasn't flexing that, hey, you know, I'm stronger and I'm better than you. It's like, okay, you want to challenge a man to something that they have a physical predominance in,
Right.
you're going to get what you get. It's the same
Yeah.
thing in the Marine Corps when they go at each other with the pugil sticks.
Right.
Marines are taught to go straight in and tear ass up, and that's what this male Marine did to this female. Went straight into the aggressor. In 2 strokes, he had her on her back on the ground and he was on top of her. It was interesting. The video's out there, guys. I don't have the clip here, but check it out. I mean, he came back for the second round, and I think the instructor was kind of going like that. So it looked like he came at him or at her at 50%.
I haven't
still rolled her.
Yeah.
And my point is, buddy, is that I think it's important for everyone to recognize the strengths in the opposite sex. Men tend to have the physicality. There are other things that women excel in, vocationally. The first thing that comes to mind is nursing, teaching, the childcare thing. And if that sounds incredibly sexist to you, I'm not going to apologize for it. That's what the data shows. That's what the percentages show, that this is where women excel. And they excel in this because they're good at it. And we need women to instill those values, those feminine values, their strength into these kids, into these people that need help. That's where the balance comes in. The man will make sure that door to the operating room opens. Make sure that the steel scalpels are forged. And I'm not saying women can't be a part of that either. I'm just saying we need to respect where the sex's strengths are and not get our undies in a bundle and get all pissed off because men are higher paid. Well, listen to this. Yeah, men are higher paid by 15%. I think the number is something like that. But things have to balance out. It's getting better. Women's opportunities are increasing. The pay gap is getting smaller. But it has been eons. It's been decades that men have been paid this set wage for the work they do. And women get into it, and they're getting their sea legs over the past several decades. And granted, they're doing a different type of work, a different type of mindset in that office environment or whatever it is. The bottom line is it's coming up. Things are starting to get even. But I think if we all took a step back and just took a breath and stayed strong on the areas that need to improve, like the wage gap. And let me deviate off that. Why in the hell, Paul, can't we match resume against resume? It doesn't matter what you got hanging between your legs or not. You got 2 resumes in front of the hiring manager. Whoever is stronger on paper gets the fucking job. What is so hard about that?
Well, you get the crazies on both sides that want to do things like go apply for a gig at Hooters, being a waitress as a dude. That happened. That happened.
That's a good point. This leads itself more to the feminine side of things. Who wants to go, men and many women alike, to Hooters and see a big hairy chest guy or a super effeminate guy in short shorts and a crop top serving him fucking wings? I mean, look, there are places for that. If you're of the gay persuasion, if you're homosexual, I mean, there's clubs and bars and whatnot for that. But I'm speaking generality. I'm speaking across the board here. These are places where men like to go and hang out. They bring their wives, and I've been there quite a few times, and the waitresses are just as nice to the female that I bring in there as they are to me. Just because they choose to dress that way and to make that sort of money, looking like that's their choice. I appreciate it, but I'm not going to judge them for it like feminists do. You're making us look bad. Honestly, it's the ones that have an appearance issue that I've noticed that have a problem with the ones that have taken care of themselves and worked out and even augmented themselves. Let's just stop all that shit. If you have a problem with being overweight as a female or male, that's who you are. Still doesn't mean you can't Put every effort into making yourself better as best as you can, and seek advice. Get a hold of a guy like me. Let's talk about it. What can we do to get you to that place you need to be at? So, Paulie, let's go ahead and roll the next clip. And this is kind of funny, but
I
it
came out
goes
as
on the same theme.
bisexual last year. And since then, I have been dating women. And what I found very fascinating is that the more I date women, the more I find myself understanding heterosexual men. Let me explain. Exhibit A. I was on a first date with a girl who asked me out, by the way. This is relevant because when the check came, she never once made a move to pay. Not even like the fake, let me reach for my purse move. And though I don't mind.
So, okay, now we've reviewed this. She's going to get into that she understands how guys feel when that uncomfortable move happens, basically, whether you're a determined feminist or not. The check comes, most men will reach for the check. Mentioned this earlier. Guys now are kind of like, if I get this is going to chew my ass because I'm, she's a feminist, or do I let it sit here and let her make an offer and then me counter that offer saying, oh, I appreciate that, but I'll get that. She's going to go right into this stuff that men have experienced forever. And I think it's great that she's experiencing this from a female standpoint. Go ahead.
Paying on a date, part of me felt like, the offer would have been nice. I was also a little taken aback that she didn't even say thank you. And I never heard from her again.
Okay, hold it.
It really made me feel like she...
So, this goes right to what I said earlier about women in the free meal thing. There's the podcast where Fresh and Fit is one of them. There's a couple other where they have the panel of, I have to say, bimbos up there that actually admit to that. It's like, yeah, he's nice, and he's got a nice car and everything. So, it's a free meal. For a free meal. And then, then they're gone. And this guy, he's tried to establish something with them and it's not there anymore. They got what they wanted and they're gone. And people wonder why men are off starting these groups, getting so deep into Red Pill and so deep into MGTOW. Men are starting to get fed up with it. Do we have that clip? You want to pick it up?
Just asked me out so she could have a free dinner. And the moment I thought that, I was like, oh my God, I sound like all of my guy friends right now. And my argument against why guys should pay for dates has always been like, look, girls take hours to get ready. Our investment is looking really nice for you. Makeup, clothes, that costs money too. But we were both girls in this situation. We both took hours to get ready, so I definitely felt slighted. Exhibit B. On another date, I went back to a girl's house and I ended up making friends with her cat. That's not a pun, I'm talking about her literal, actual animal. And she said, wow, my cat never likes anyone. I better go out and buy a wedding dress. And again, I felt like I got some serious perspective.
So yeah, I can speak this. Most guys can. How many times you've been out on a date and whatever their motivation is, if it's genuine or they're being funny, something like that is said and you kind of go, this is just our first date. Yeah, ladies, think a little bit more about how you extend that type of humor in a first or even second date. Go ahead, Paul.
I have been guilty of making these kinds of jokes on dates with men. I never really thought anything of it. I was just being silly. But then when I was on the receiving end of it, I suddenly understood the panic. And finally, Exhibit C. One girl invited me back into her house, and her specific words were, do you want to come in and make out? Obviously, I'm like, yeah, you're really pretty. I want to press my face to yours. But then when we got there, we both just sat on the couch and she talked till like 3 a.m. And I was like, yo girl, I gotta wake up at like 6 a.m. I was told there would be kisses here. There are no kisses. And like, look, I don't wanna sound like an asshole. Like, I don't mind talking. I love talking. But she could have said, do you wanna come in and just talk? And I would have had totally different expectations for the evening.
So when guys are put into a situation like that, where they have an expectation that they're going to make out or whatever, and it doesn't happen, I think one thing that men need to think about is maybe she is waiting for you to initiate the action. She's put it out there. Come on in, let's make out. And then she starts to talk because she doesn't want to be too forward. And it's up to you to maybe move closer, put your arm around her, that sort of thing.
Yeah, move forward until you get the slightest pushback.
Yes. But here's the issue. Men are hesitant to do that because there's so many mixed messages out there. I don't want to move too fast because I dig this chick. She invited me in. So is she expecting something? But she's running off at the mouth here for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. I mean, you know, and there's things you can do, guys. You know, you can give me a call. We can work around that. There's initiations, steps you can take to test that without getting slapped in the face. All right, go ahead, Paul.
You know, finally I started falling asleep and I was like, hey, I gotta go. And I gave her one kiss and left. And I felt sad that the amount of kisses promised did not equal the amount of kisses delivered. And once again, I felt like a dude who was upset that I did not receive the expected physical kisses I was promised. And I wanted to talk about this because I felt like this has really been expanding my perspective when it comes to dating. I finally understand a lot of the complaints my male friends have about dating that I admit I would usually dismiss. But now I really get it when they say,
dating is just so expensive, man. Sometimes I feel like a girl doesn't even like me for me. She just wants like a boyfriend.
I wish it were more socially expected to go Dutch on the first few dates, but you're like a jerk if you even suggest it. And any experience that expands your compassion and understanding is one that I think is worthy of sharing.
Yeah,
I came out as...
Oh, excuse me.
The last 3 points that she made when she had the mustache on and that sort of thing, she's captured it. She's experienced it. And I think it'd be interesting if more women could experience that. And hopefully this clip will give you a little more, for the females watching, give you a little more insight of where we're at when it comes to those sort of things. She talked about, I wish it was more socially acceptable for us to go Dutch on a dinner, whether it be the first one or the second one. But again, men are put into that tenuous circumstance that if I go Dutch, she's not going to see me as masculine, or if I pay for it, I'm going to be a toxic masculine asshole. Again, it gets back to communication. Everything needs to be laid out. You need to understand and not waste your time. Guys, you're really better off doing your own thing, working on yourself, improving who you are before you can tackle a relationship. If you get into a relationship with a female that's starting to do this sort of thing, you need to have set ground rules when you come in, that she understands that that's not good behavior. It goes the other way too. Women can have boundaries in a relationship as well, but they have to be agreed to. But if they can't be, you're better off just shaking hands and moving on. Paulie, what's your thoughts on that, my friend?
Well, you've brought up several times in this that, things need to be ironed out at the very beginning of a relationship when it comes to things. And I think the simple balance of how traditional are you in, these particular things are really good discussions to be had. Because if you end up with someone who, if a dude is looking for a chick that's going to, bring home half the money and, doesn't want kids and is more looking for somebody to go rock climbing with and all that stuff. And, she is, more looking for the traditional, I want to stay at home with the kids and, bake cookies all day thing. It doesn't matter how much sexual chemistry there is on the first 3 or 4 dates or months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if that's all there is between them, then leave it at that.
Right. Absolutely. No, I was just going to say, and that can last a long time. I mean, it can be, the raw attraction can last long enough that it spoofs you into thinking you actually have a relationship. You haven't even talked about any of these important things, like how do you want to live?
Well, I think that's an excellent point. The spoof is a great word. You connect on two people connect on such an intense level, like their sexuality, and they think that's the basis for a successful relationship when they haven't done the legwork in the other areas, the financial area, the future with kids, if not, whatever. All that needs to be discussed in the front end, like I said. So, buddy, that is the show for today. Kind of a short one. Forgive us for coming on a little bit late today. We're working through some technical difficulties. I want to let you know that we are going to be going live every Tuesday at 3:00. Please put on your calendar and tune in. We're going to be opening up the phone lines going forward. So when we roll these clips and we do discuss this, we welcome you to call in and give us your input, good and bad. We got thick skin over here. We're not going to cry about it. But, if you're going to be a dick about it, we're going to fuck you down. So it is how it is. All right. But honestly, we appreciate the support that we've gotten to date. Want to let you know that on Thursdays, right, Paulie? I think we're looking at about 6:00 maybe to do a second show.
Yep. 6 Central.
Okay. 6 Central. We'll be doing our nighttime show for that crowd. And all of this is going to be going up on YouTube, so you can catch the jocularity at a later time if you can't make the live show. But we would really like to have you on board for that to kind of get your feedback. Keep in mind, all this was born from my being honored enough to help men with their problems, to help them rediscover themselves and get back to an area of confidence and self-assurance and just being comfortable in their skin. Give me a call, sending me an email. We can get knee to knee. We can get on the phone. We can do a Skype thing, whatever. And we can start talking about that, because honestly, if you are looking to get into a relationship or you just want to date, there's ways to do it, to be successful at it and to be fulfilled by it. And if you're not secure with yourself, it's doomed. I'm just going to tell you, it's doomed. It's going to go in a direction that you don't want it to go. We all have lines. We all have boundaries. We all have goals and expectations. For the millionth time in this show, you need to get those secure within yourself and then be able to project those in an adult way to that person that's entering into your life. Simple, straightforward. Isn't going to take weeks for you to internalize this sort of thing, but I'm here if you give me a call. So, Paulie, I want to thank you, buddy, for doing the things you do out there in Nashville, Tennessee, over there in Studio B. It's looking very nice there.
Thank you.
Just to let you guys know, Paulie does production work, music production work. He's had a background for many, many years in the music industry. So if you have any questions about that, want to record an album,
sure,
give me a call. I'll shoot you over.
I know a guy.
I know a guy.
Right, exactly.
So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Remember, this Thursday, 6 o'clock, we'll be coming up with another live show. And I think we're going to have fun with this one. I have been looking at all sorts of fucked up dating apps. And some of these profiles just make me go, do you want to date? Do you want to find somebody to go out with? Because this is the shit that men don't want to hear. And so we can kind of parse that and lay that out. And guys, since most of my audience here are guys, please feel free to share the information you have here from this show, that show, next show, future shows, past shows with other people. Because that's the whole point of this, is to kind of grassroots things. And guys, once again, please tune in next week. And Paulie, thank you again. And
My
with
pleasure.
that is the show. Love you guys. Have a good one.